Freedom's greetings, Hell Jumpers. Erevan here, and today the ODST Warbond is upon us. But is it any good, and is it worth 1,500 of your hard-earned super credits with no rebate baked into the pages as well? By far the most expensive Warbond ever added to the game. Today, we're taking a look at all the stats that make up these Halo fan favorites, their use cases, and answering this all-important question. First, the armor passive. As a massive Halo fan, ODST and Recon armor is the peak of fashion, and no one will ever be able to tell me otherwise. And the passive has some very interesting niche use cases when compared to the Scout stealth passive. While the Scout passive reduces the range you can be seen by the enemy by 30%, the Feet First passive reduces the noise made by your movement by 50%. Now, most enemies in Helldivers 2 do not react based on sound very often, with very limited hearing range when it comes to the pitter-patter of your boots. But there are some enemies in Helldivers 2 that track almost entirely based on sound, and very regularly track you based on the sound of your movement specifically. Examples being the voteless hordes of the Illuminate, which have good hearing but very limited vision. The gunship patrols, which track almost entirely based on sound for their initial detection, which is why laying down allows you to easily avoid them. The factory strider, which can both hear and see Helldivers from 60 meters away, even through blizzards. And last but not least, mortar emplacements, which detect you entirely based off of sound. So for avoiding these specific enemies, the new armor passive actually has a leg up, surprisingly, on the Scout passive, even if visual detection reduction is better in all other cases. Visual detection ranges can be reduced by other modifiers, like bushes, weather events, and nighttime, or completely obstructed via smoke. However, there is no other way to reduce your movement's detection range than this new armor. This is, again, extremely niche, but it's not useless. What is useless, though, is the 30% increased point of interest identification range, which raises your passive detection range from 10 meters to 13. But that's okay, because immunity to leg injury for a lot of accident-prone Helldivers across the galaxy, on top of the nostalgic look, is likely enough to buy this Warbond already. If you want to sneak around the specific enemies I listed, hate breaking your legs, and want to look like a lore-accurate badass, then these armors are likely for you. The armor is serviceable, but how about those 4 firearms? The MA5C assault rifle is a medium penetration weapon with 80 damage per bullet or 16 durable damage and 640 RPM, bringing the total DPS to only 853 with a maximum magazine size of a piddly 32. Now, the Adjudicator is not a super popular assault rifle, but it is very similar to the MA5C with 95 damage, 550 RPM, and 870 DPS with 2 rounds per magazine less. So, in these metrics, these two guns are nearly identical, even sporting the same number of spare magazines at 8. Where the MA5C edges out the Adjudicator, though, is in ergonomics score, where it has 60, meaning it's a bit more responsive when it comes to shifting targets, making it more reliable in close quarters encounters. It's also got 15 stagger force, which is not enough to push any enemies beyond a light flinch, meaning there's no crowd control to speak of beyond the typical permanent crowd control of death. What's unique about the MA5C and its Halo lore accurate Smart Link system, though. Using the MA5C in first person continues to draw a reticle on your HUD and tightens up that crosshair when ADSing instead of traditional iron sights, making it much more practical to use in first person during close quarters encounters. Which was a good decision on their part, as trying to actually aim down sights on this thing would have been a disaster. Overall, it's very hard to add a unique ballistic assault rifle into Helldivers 2 these days, and the MA5C, in my opinion, is just way too similar to the Adjudicator if you already own it, and the novelty of using John Halo's signature rifle isn't enough of a purchasing point for you on its own. But while the MA5C might have failed to impress me overall, the M90A shotgun does the opposite. It's an absolute beast of a shotgun and well worth adding to your collection. I will say that right now. This thing fires the 8-gauge Magnum it's known for, dealing 55 damage per pellet and firing 11 pellets totaling at 605 damage per pump, or 176 durable damage with an RPM of 80. For context, that's almost 50% more damage per pump than the 10-gauge buckshot fired by the Punisher shotgun. While it is only light armor penetrating, this thing hits so hard it'll still be turning bugs and overseers into paste regardless. And with a whopping 35 stagger force, it's able to push and hit stun just about any enemy in the game that's susceptible to it. The drawbacks are also, in my opinion, negligible for the amount of power it brings to the shotgun table, only holding 6 hand-loaded shells compared to the standard 8 with a maximum number of 44 shells. However, although it looks extremely cursed, you can, just like the other shotguns, reload shells in between shots to keep a consistent stream of fire downrange, making the capacity a non-issue. And if you need more shells, you can always run a supply pack to compensate. Overall, they did this beast of a shotgun justice, and I'm very happy with it. This one is a 10 out of 10 faithful recreation of the power fantasy fans associate with this weapon. Now, getting into the new suppressed weapons, we need to talk about what the suppressors bring to the table. Essentially, the audible profile of these weapons is just on the low end, like already available plasma weaponry, and no matter how quiet your weapons are, on high difficulty missions, outposts are stacked shoulder to shoulder with enemies, meaning even if you quietly take out an enemy, if one of them sees their buddy go down, they are still going to go on alert all the same, start shooting at you, and call the bot drop anyway. So while suppressors are nice to have, they are not functionally overpowered or able to circumvent combat in a meaningful way for most users and most situations. Under the perfect circumstances, though, the sound profile of these weapons is in the lowest range of audibility between 10 to 30 meters. Now that we've talked about the suppressors themselves, the M6C SOCOM pistol, besides being suppressed, is also strictly better than the Peacemaker in every way. But that's more or less where the praise ends, dealing 100 damage per bullet or 25 durable damage with a fire rate as fast as you can pull the trigger at 900, and no crowd control stats to speak of at only 15 stagger force. The ergonomics are instant, as you'd expect with a score of 100 at least, but the magazine capacity is a fleeting 12 with only 8 spares. While 100 damage is enough to put most light enemies down in a single headshot, it falls just short of being reliable against light automatons via singular body shots due to the damage fall off, and falls just short of being able to take Devastator heads off in one shot, making the suppressor a novelty against any base with anything larger than a trooper guarding it. While it's extremely tactical, sporting a flashlight, laser, and suppressor, there is next to no use case for this pistol compared to utilizing, say, the Verdict or even the Senator, as all pistols have very low sound profiles already, making the suppressed fire relatively redundant. As cool as the SOCOM is, and as much as you want me to love it, and I want to love it, I just can't recommend it in the game's current landscape for high difficulty missions. I will say though, SOCOM only challenge runs could potentially be pretty fun to take on. Last, we have the M7S SMG, the main workhorse of ODST, but does it stack up to its peers in the world of Helldivers 2? The M7S deals 70 damage per bullet, 7 durable damage, and fires at a pace of 872 rounds per minute for a total of 1017 DPS with light penetration. As expected, also no crowd control effect at only 10 stagger force, and a mag capacity of 48 with only 7 spares. This essentially makes the M7S an MP98 Knight with less ammo capacity and significantly lower fire rate. Although it is significantly easier to control as a result, and fire rate isn't everything, only really coming into play when trying to laser beam down heavier lightly armored targets like, say, Overseers or Brood Commanders, making this weapon ideal for automaton missions over the other factions. But even then, the low damage and light pen is hard to be excited about, and a suppressor doesn't add much value to an SMG due to all SMGs already having a low sound profile, creating the same issue for the M7S that the SOCOM has when finding its use case. Essentially, these two weapons end up trading firepower for a lower sound profile on a class of weapons that are already known for their low sound profiles. And the sound profile makes no difference if the enemy sees your target die in front of them anyway, a situation very common on high difficulty outposts. Overall, I cannot recommend either of these weapons for anything other than challenging yourself to play full stealth with the RP factor of suppressors, as even when playing for stealth generally, every other weapon in their category or alternatively, plasma-based weaponry which sports similarly low sound profiles will be better options for stealth gameplay than either of these weapons. Overall, the ODST Warbond is one I want to love, but I'm just too pedantic to recommend. Statistically, only the shotgun can compete with the current market of weaponry already available to you, and the rest is a mixed bag of extremely niche, or even fails to capture the niche it's going for like the suppressed weapons do. The armor passive will protect your legs and protect you from the big ears of the mortar launchers, but that's really about it from a gameplay perspective. The entire Warbond might ooze cool and drip nostalgia, but from a technical and statistical standpoint, it simply misses the mark, especially for the most expensive and first legendary Warbond of Helldivers 2. But let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you for watching till the end, and thank you to my coffee supporters who help keep the channel going. I'll see you next time.